By the way, Italy is superior in many respects. For example, in competition. There's quite a lot of competition in the Italian economy. So Italy would appear to be a prime candidate for a boost to innovation. So would the United States, by the way, where job satisfaction plummeted in 2004 with the increased overseas competition and the decline of innovation in the decade, which caused many companies to prune themselves of employees in fun jobs doing forward-looking work, product development, strategic planning, and so forth. And as the people who were very satisfied with their work were largely fired, and only the people doing relatively uninteresting work on the production line were retained. 2 points are of critical importance in the present discussion. Many neo-Schumpeterians, those are the people who think always of the great scientists and navigators, many neo-Schumpeterians are telling us that although those great navigators of the mercantile era and those great scientists of the Enlightenment are no longer with us, the central government of the nation can and ought to recreate the days of Queen Isabella and the more recent days of the space agency, NASA, by instituting government-sponsored research projects in green technologies, alternative fuels, and pharmaceutical research. One drawback of this approach is that in an economy placed under a government contract, in a company placed under government contract to do research, or in a research agency of the government, radically new ideas, ideas that are out of the box, are unlikely to get the ear of the government overseers. And the directions decided on by these well-funded organizations or entities may crowd out competing visions. Perhaps the true genius of the modern economies that emerged in the 19th century was that they achieved mass innovation by encouraging the diverse business people to come up with new ideas, by requiring that these new ideas make it with the public, not the government, and by allowing these ideas to compete for the support of entrepreneurs and financiers possessing a pluralism of beliefs, so that ideas that were suspect because of their great novelty would have a chance that somebody out there might like them. I have to add that I was surprised to see it asserted last week in President Obama's State of the Union message to the U.S. Congress that the Sputnik moment, as he called it, in 1961, which he said sparked an outpouring of U.S. government money for research, basic and applied, over the 1960s and beyond, led with time, he claimed, to heightened innovation in the business sector of the economy. The fact is that innovation slowed over the 1960s, and by 1971, there was the famous productivity slowdown. So it's hard for me to see how the creation of NASA after the Sputnik moment can be linked to a surge of faster productivity growth. The second point I would make is that the Washington economists are nevertheless likely to be right in supposing that fewer business people are going to take the plunge of developing and, if getting that far, bringing to market new products when the prospect for prosperity in the future has dimmed because of the slump, and more important, because of the structural problems that have beset so many Western economies. So it makes sense to me, in Italy and the US as well, that the government would be right to voice support for innovation and throw its support into efforts to boost innovation in the economy. The symbolic significance of such a move, could help lift entrepreneurial spirits throughout the economy. Well, for 2 years now, I have been suggesting that the state could give a boost to business innovation by introducing into the financial sector new banks or other bodies dedicated to financing company projects in the business sector, including the formation of startup companies, projects of a demonstrably innovative character. Let me just read a paragraph from a statement in early 2009. I've been moving toward a proposal to establish banks of a new kind. It is not uncommon to see financial entities in the country that are dedicated to residential construction or to agriculture or to exports and so forth. But one doesn't see any corresponding or any similar support for business. This is curious and disturbing because little dynamism comes from supporting exports or supporting residential housing and so forth. There seems to be no awareness among the general public and the legislatures that most of the economic dynamism inherent in the structure of a country's economy comes from the innovative inclinations of ordinary people making their careers in the business sector. To right the balance, I suggest to every country that its government establish a core of banks or other bodies that are dedicated to lending to or investing in companies in the business sector. I'd like to remind audiences that Germany, with its famous Deutsche Bank, had just such a financial institution serving its business sector during its brilliant economic development in the 1880s and 1890s, when Deutsche Bank backed the new electrical engineering industries.